see a title like Thank You for Smoking, and you expect mockery, satire, maybe even a sneaky PSA in disguise. But this movie, it gives you that, then doubles it, flips it, spins it, and lights it up like a fresh Marlboro. It's not Jim Carrey funny, it's deeper. It plays in irony, timing, and character wit, not gags. This film is a rare satirical gem, tight, fast, and wickedly clever. Every scene sharpens the bite, builds tension, or drops a killer line you'll want to quote at your next dinner party, just to see who blinks first. Welcome to Real Talk, where we spill the tea on movies and all the madness in between, with wit, sass, and zero sugarcoating. Enter Nick Naylor, played by Aaron Eckhart, a smooth-talking lobbyist for Big Tobacco, who can spin poison into poetry and walk out of a Senate hearing looking like a rock star. He's flanked by his lobbyist crew, the reps for alcohol and firearms, who call themselves the MOD Squad, Merchants of Death. They casually debate who kills more people a year over coffee and meatloaf. You know, classic American charm. But when Nick gets too good at twisting the truth, karma shows up in the form of a bizarre kidnapping. He's strapped with dozens of nicotine patches and left for dead. Irony? He survives not because he's a smoker. That's right, cigarettes save his life. Technically. Between bribing the cancer-stricken Marlboro Man and getting exposed Pillow Talk style by a reporter, Nick faces media hell, parenting dilemmas, and a Senate showdown where he drops one of the slickest mic drops in cinematic history. Just when it looks like the spin is over, Nick reinvents himself, this time for the cell phone industry. Because hey, cancer comes in bars now. Nick Naylor doesn't lie. He just argues better than you. He's the PR face of Big Tobacco, and the devil's most charming advocate. But what makes him irresistible? He's not pushy. He's polite, calm, and terrifyingly good at making poison sound like a product launch. When he's asked to defend cigarettes, Nick doesn't say they're safe. He just smiles and asks, "Isn't everything?" He doesn't defend the product. He defends the freedom to choose it. And somehow, that lands. The scariest part? Nick is not evil. He's just really good at his job. Nick is divorced. His son Joey is shy, awkward, curious, the kind of kid you hope gets a better moral compass than his dad. But Nick, he teaches Joey not to tell the truth. He teaches him how to win. When Joey asks how Nick spins facts, he drops this one. That's the beauty of argument. If you argue correctly, you're never wrong. And his golden rule, if it's your job to be right, then you're never wrong. And if you want to shame him on the moral ground, his response, my job requires a certain moral flexibility. That's not self-loathing. That's a sales pitch. Nick isn't teaching his son what's right. He's teaching him how to dodge right and wrong and come out looking clever. His boss doesn't care if people die. He only cares when bad PR gets on his desk. So when Nick suggests putting cigarettes back into Hollywood films, he's all in. And guess what? The studio execs are chilled too. They did it in the 50s, the 60s, the 80s. Actors lighting up was practically studio branding. So why not bring it back? Make cancer glamorous again. And just as they're cooking up that comeback, along comes a problem. Lorne Lutch, a former Marlboro Man, is dying of lung cancer and thinking about going public. So what does the company do? They send Nick to handle it. And Nick, being Nick, brings his son on the job. Joey's mom, absolutely not. It's a toxic environment, she says. But Joey's been watching his dad, and he knows exactly where to poke. His guilt trip line? Mom, is it possible that you are taking the frustration of your failed marriage out on me? If you think it's more important to use me to channel your frustration against the man you no longer love, I'll understand. Boom. He's on the flight. Nick shows up with a suitcase of hush money. Lorne's pissed. My dignity is not for sale. So Nick does what he does best. He spins. Take the money and blow the whistle on us. Donate it all. Be the hero. Lorne wavers. But what about my family? Nick, stone-faced. You can't keep the money. Lorne looks at the cash. I don't suppose I can denounce you for half of it. Nick smiles. He's already won. You either keep all the money or give it all away. Joey's watching, wide-eyed. He asks later, "How'd you know he'd take the deal?" Nick doesn't flinch. "You'd have to be crazy to turn down all that money. As soon as I saw he wasn't crazy, I knew he'd take it." But here's the deeper bite. Nick's not just a spin master. He understands how human minds work. And that right there is the film's flavor. It doesn't ask if you're right. It asks, can you sell it? One of the very darkest truths is the friendship of the MOD squad. Nick, the spokesman of tobacco, Polly, the rep of alcohol industry, and Bobby, the firearm lobbyist. Once a week, they dine together. And over greasy diner food, they trade death stats like baseball cards. Which of us kills more people a year? Don't flatter yourself, Bobby. Guns don't even come close. It's not just dark comedy. It's a brilliantly sick take on American corporate ethics. They fund research. They support awareness. They donate just enough money to look generous, while profiting off mass destruction. And when things go bad, it's about personal responsibility. Translation: not our fault. We just sell the bullets. This is a dinner table of grinning Grim Reapers, sipping coffee and counting casualties. It's hilarious and horrifying. The most ironic moment? Nick gets kidnapped by anti-smoking extremists who've had enough of his PR gymnastics. They throw him in a van and cover his body with nicotine patches, like dozens. Then they dump him, half naked. He wakes up in the hospital, barely alive. And the doctor, with a straight face, says, "The cigarettes probably saved your life." It's one of the most twistedly brilliant moments in the entire film, where the very poison he's selling turns out to be his shield. Nick Naylor survives because his body is so used to nicotine, the overdose didn't finish the job. He spins it like a pro. What should have been a PR disaster? He turns into his Lazarus moment. The man literally OD'd on nicotine and made it a comeback story. The audience is laughing, cringing, and gagging all at once. Because here's the point. If you control the narrative, even poison can sound like a miracle cure. Nick doesn't just survive physically. He survives symbolically. You can't kill spin, you can't kill charisma, you can't kill a guy who knows how to control the story. But karma catches up fast. Nick's affair with the hot reporter, Heather, played by Katie Holmes, wasn't just steamy. It was a setup. He thought it was pillow talk. She thought it was material. She memorized everything he spilled about the MOD squad. And when the story drops, it's all there. Every secret, every dirty job, public, national, humiliating. Nick gets fired. Bobby and Polly are pissed, but they still meet up. Because MOD squad? Twisted loyalty runs deep. Nick's at rock bottom, directionless, until his ex-wife shows up with Joey. Then Joey flips Nick's own manipulation playbook right back at him. You're just making it complicated so you can feel sorry for yourself. It's the perfect, quietly savage moment. Like father, like son. The kid's not just mimicking Nick's spin tactics. He's understood them, digested them, and now he's using them to keep dad honest. It's hilarious. It's savage. And low-key wholesome. The student has become the PR master. It's karma, but cute. That's the real punch of this film. Even in satire, there's heart. And sometimes, your toughest critic is the one sitting in your backseat. And Nick? He's speechless. Because he knows Joey's right. And then there's Senator Finisterre. Don't be fooled by the moral crusade. He doesn't want to save children. He wants to look good on camera. His big idea? Slap skull and crossbones warning labels on cigarette packs so he can play hero of Vermont. It's political theater, a press stunt. The guy's moral compass runs on polling data. Meanwhile, Nick? He doesn't care if people smoke or not. He just wants them to choose, while casually ignoring who's manipulating that choice with ad budgets, fake studies, and charm bombs. But the movie doesn't take sides. No preachy soapbox. Instead, it exposes both players as two sides of the same broken system, where corporate PR and political PR blur into one giant marketing campaign, where freedom is just a tagline, and morality, another filter for whoever's got the mic. So when Finisterre says, "What would you do if your son wanted to smoke?" Nick: "I'd buy him his first pack. Boom. The senator thinks he's delivering a gotcha. Nick turns it into a TED Talk about free will. We're supposed to hate the MOD squad. They represent death, addiction, destruction. But by the end, they're kind of your brunch besties. You hate what they do, but somehow you like them. And that's the film's final twist. The real villain? The spin itself. The idea that if you're persuasive enough, nothing is evil. Not guns, not alcohol, not cigarettes, not even lying. This is the most underrated scene in the whole film. Nick hits rock bottom, fired, shamed. He's sitting in a diner with the MOD squad. Then the server drops off a slice of apple pie, topped with cheddar cheese and a tiny American flag. Nick winces. That's disgusting. Bobby shrugs. It's American. And boom! That's the whole movie in one bite. Something gross, rebranded as patriotic. That's the job. That's the spin. These merchants of death don't deny their industries kill people. They just sell death wrapped in freedom. But here's the twist. Nick gets it. That cheese-topped pie? It's his mirror. It's humble, honest, a little gross, and suddenly, it clicks. He's lost his job, but not his gift. His skill is still marketable, because in America, even a cheese-covered mess can be sold, if you say the right thing with the right smile. The pie is disgusting, but the spin? Delicious. Fun fact, studios begged Jason Reitman, the film director, to give Nick Naylor a moral makeover by the end. They wanted him to cry, repent, maybe toss a cigarette into the ocean while whispering, "Never again." You know, the safe, satisfying ending. But Reitman? He held his ground. No redemption arc, no fake tears, no last-minute conscience cleanse. Because that's the whole damn point. Nick Naylor doesn't change, the system doesn't collapse. The machine keeps selling. And Nick, he just finds a new product to spin. That ending isn't safe. It's savage. And that's exactly why it hits harder than any anti-smoking PSA ever could. Oh, and one more thing. Nobody smokes on screen, and that's not an accident. Because the movie is not about cigarettes. It's about the pitch. It's about the argument. It's about how someone can make poison sound poetic and sell you cancer with a smile and a moral loophole. It's so American. It hurts. This film practically drips with themes that are hyper-specific to American culture. Freedom of choice, even if it kills you. Capitalism with a smile. Nick Naylor isn't just a character. He's the personification of American PR, where image beats substance and morality gets sold with a killer pitch. In America, it's not about being right. It's about being persuasive. They don't need lies. They just need the right guy to sell the story. Someone who tells just enough of the truth to make you stop asking questions. And let's be real. Some people confuse subtle with safe. They expected a whistleblower saga, a system teardown. But no, this film dares to show the system working exactly as intended. No bombs, no exposés, just charm, spin, and polished suits making poison sound like freedom. So what is "thank you for smoking" really saying? The most dangerous people aren't the ones who lie. They're the ones who sell you the truth, just the part that serves them. When life gives you cigarettes, apparently you can build an empire. Just don't inhale the truth.